Hey, and welcome back. For today's video, I wanted to have a focus on, well, we're gonna incorporate one of the arm balances from the arm balance series and one of the transitions going from Prazarita into headstand. So we'll work on that, and of course, if you need to refine it, go over to the arm balance series. This is just where we incorporate it in today's video, not so workshop-y, more just doing. And then also, we're gonna work on the splits a little bit. Now, just a little theory behind what we're doing. The way that I learn things is, well, it's easiest to learn action on your back when gravity is removed. However, we also want to be able to incorporate standing, work our way up to standing, and then into deeper flexibility. When we stand, the legs, they're inherently tamasic. You've probably heard me say that before if you've been following the channel for a while. What that means is that our legs, they're inherently kind of dull or lazy. So when we stand on the legs, we need to educate them how to work in the standing poses. This is why in the Iyengar method of yoga, the standing poses come first. You're encouraged to master the standing poses before you try doing the things that require more flexibility and going deeper, more extreme versions of the poses, because you've already learned in the standing poses how to activate the muscles and activate the core in coordination with the legs. What I find is that if I really haven't mastered it, I can kind of like cheat my way into it, I end up tweaking something because I'm not engaging and creating space like I would have learned from the standing pose. So that's a super important lesson that I wish someone would have told me early in my yoga career. It could have saved me so much pain. So, okay, we're gonna work on that today, because like when you go into the splits, there's gonna be a tendency to just sink into the lumbar and cheat from there. So we're gonna learn at the wall today. So without further ado, let's begin. So today's class, we're gonna begin standing. So stand up on your feet and stand with your feet hip distance apart. And first what we're gonna do is just mobilize your thigh bone in the socket. So this mobility work should help to feel more freedom when we go do the sun salutations and the practice. So all I'm doing is marching in place here, nothing fancy. And then let's do some arm movements. Take the arms forward, out to the side, and up and overhead. You just want to feel the inner arm bone releasing back into the socket when you're extending the arms up and over. You want to feel that the sides of the neck feel tall. And let's see if you can do that marching movement as you move your arms at the same time. And then we're going to transition into toe taps. So lift your knee up and then tap your big toe behind you into extension. And then we're going to do it into a lunge. Drop your knee down. Now firm your left outer hip in, draw your navel in, and then raise your right arm straight up. Plug your navel back and stand. Change sides. So we'll do the toe taps on the other side. And then step back into a lunge, lower your knee down, firm your right outer hip in, navel in, then raise your left arm up. And then step up, and let's go side to side in the lunge. So as you lower your knee down, there's going to be a tendency for the spine to sink, pull up through your crown as you're lowering down, like you're balancing a book up on your head. So as the back knee lowers, get taller through your spine. And as that back knee lowers, feel the opposite outer hip engage. We'll pause at the bottom for a moment and then press through the center of the heel to come up. So as you're doing this, just notice the heat that's building in your body. And so this is going to help so that when we go to move and hold in the stretches, it's the muscles that are more willing to move instead of just borrowing and pulling at our tendons and attachments. Then stand up tall. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Drop the chin towards the chest. Over to the other shoulder. Head back on top. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Roll it around. Bring it up on top. Then interlock your fingers. Bring your arms up and overhead. Spread your chest wide. And raise your arms up. Turn your palms to face each other. With a little bend in your knees, spread your arms and fold forward. Inhale into a flat back. Then plant your hands and step back into a plank position. So the last part of our little mobility warm-up here, without your middle wiggling, twisting around, try to bring your right knee to your right elbow. Imagine you had a cup of coffee on your sacrum. That's the top of your butt, low back area. Change legs, bring the other knee up. Change legs. And now let's see if we can pick up the pace, but keeping the spine steady so that your hips aren't swinging side to side. And now let's start to take the knee to the opposite elbow. And then knee to chest. And then really pick up the pace. You might spill a little bit of coffee, but try to keep it as steady as possible. And then set your knees down and stretch back into child's pose. Come back up onto your hands and your knees. Bring your right hand behind your ear. As you exhale, bring your right elbow towards your left wrist. Inhale, twist, open up. Exhale. Inhale, open back up. Last one, exhale, then slide the hand behind the wrist off to the side. You can stay upright or slide the hand deeper and lower your shoulder down. Come back up. Let's do it on the other side. Hand behind your head, exhale. Inhale, twist, open up. Exhale. Inhale, twist, open up. Exhale, twist and hold. You can stay here upright or slide the hand all the way with the elbow bent and lower the shoulder. Come back up onto your hands. And stretch back into your first downward dog. Oh, you're being such a good boy. Press down through the four corners of your hands. Lift up on the inner arms. Lift up on the inner shoulders. Walk your feet to the front of your mat. Put a little bend in your knees as you let your head drop. Inhale, slide your hands up your shins and reach your chest forward. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up, raise your arms. Exhale, your arms down at your side. Samasthiti, inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Plant your hands, step back into plank pose. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale to upward dog. Exhale into downward dog. Bend your knees, look forward. Step or float up to the front. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back and lower, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Now bring your hands a little closer towards each other. press down through your left big toe as you raise your right leg up. Three-legged dog. Imagine I had a rope across your hips and I was pulling your hips up evenly away from your wrists as you push in your hands. Then shift to plank, bring your knee to the outside of your right armpit, pull it up. Lower it towards the midline, and then lift it back up. Rotate it externally. Lower it to the midline, lift it back up, rotate it externally. One more time, lower to the midline, lift back up, rotate externally, pull up, and then step your foot all the way up to the outside of your right hand. Drop your back knee down, point the toes back, and let your hips start to melt forward as you scoot from the low abs up towards your chest. Now you can stay here for 5 breaths on the hands. If you're looking for a deeper stretch, you could lower onto the elbows, or you can put the elbows on a block if you're somewhere in between. You don't want to collapse into your spine. You want to still get the feeling that the spine is decompressing. So if I try to put my elbows all the way down, then I'll like start to hunch over and collapse. But if I go to this spot or up on the hands, I feel like I can still open the hips and elongate. All right, then from here, come back up onto your hands, curl your back toes, lift your back knee up, plant that left hand flat, and then twist, spin, take your right arm up. Turn onto the outside edges of your feet, lift your navel up to your heart, lift your heart up and away from your hips. And then as you ground down into that left hand evenly and lift up on your chest, stay here or step your right leg back into side plank. Take your top arm, rotate it externally, reach it all the way over, lift your hips up, and then stretch back into down dog or take a vinyasa. Bring the hands a little closer together, so narrow-handed down dog, and as you push down through your right big toe mound, raise your left leg up. Reach the hip creases up and away from the floor. Grow your arms longer. Then shift into plank, pull your knee up, and lift that knee up and out to the side. Slowly lower it back into the midline. Lift it back out to the side and rotate it externally. Slowly lower into the midline. Lift back up to the side, rotate externally. Now pull up higher and step the foot to the outside of your left hand. Drop your back knee down, point your toes back, and let your hips start to melt forward. You can stay up here on the hands or go down onto the elbows or somewhere in between, up on the block maybe. And this pose is called lizard pose. So again, as we're going into our flexibility, we never want to just collapse into it, because then you're borrowing from your joints instead of getting the muscles to help and participate. And that's what we're looking to create more space by feeling the stretch deep in the belly of the muscle instead of just sinking into your flexibility. Then come back up onto your hands, curl your back toes under, lift the back knee up, plant your right hand underneath your shoulder, spin, twist, take your left arm up. Turn onto the outside edge of your feet as you lift your heart up. And then hold there, step your left leg back. Then lift up your hips, rotate your top arm, reach it all the way over, and stretch back into downward facing dog, or take a vinyasa. Look in between your hands, step or float up to the front of your mat. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Chair pose, bend your knees, sit your hips back. Raise your arms up. And stand, release your arms at your side. Surya B, inhale into chair pose. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back and lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Step your right foot up to your right thumb. Set up your back heel, warrior one. Inhale, come up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, down dog. Step your left foot, warrior one. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Press down even into your hands, look forward, step or float up. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale into chair pose. Stand Samastiti. One more round. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Step back and lower into chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Step your right foot, warrior one. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Step your left. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Bend your knees, look in between your hands. Step or float up. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, chair pose. Stand and release your arms at your side. Now we're going to approach the standing poses by stepping from the front of the mat. So if you like blocks, you can set up one block at the back of your mat, the other one up at the front. First sequence, we'll practice triangle into twisted triangle. Step your right foot back about 4.5, maybe 4 feet. If your legs are shorter, spread your arms. Left leg angles in a little, right leg turns all the way out. Stand tall, lift up through your crown, tip your pelvis out over your right thigh, and reach and place your right hand down onto the outside of your foot. Hold here for 5 breaths. Reach down through your feet, inhale, come back up. Turn your legs to the other side and reach out over your left leg. Reach down through your feet, inhale, come up. Now turn your legs for twisted triangle. So the back foot, I pick it up, turn it in a little more than halfway, raise the left arm straight up, grow as tall as you can, reach, twist, put your hand down onto the outside of the foot, on the block or on the floor. Revolve your ribs, chest, and take your right arm up. Now glance down and make sure that you're long to the line of your right big toe, that you're not rounded over your leg, and you're not lean back. Push that inner foot down, lift the right outer hip, pull it back. Reach down through your feet and like a windmill, come up and around for the other side. Place your right hand onto the outside of your left foot, block our floor. Spin your rib cage and take your arm up. Glance down, make sure you're in that line of the big toe. Press through the inner foot as you pull the outer hip up. Press down through your feet. Inhale, come back up. Parallel your feet. And then with a jump, bring your legs together. Jump wide again. Don't kick the blocks. Turn the left leg in a little, turn the right leg all the way out. Bend your right knee, put your hand onto the outside of your foot, block our floor, and extend your left arm all the way overhead. Reach down through your feet, inhale, come back up. Bend your left knee and put your left hand onto the outside of your left foot. Reach your right arm all the way over. Press down through your feet, inhale, come up, twisted variation, back heel up, bend your right knee, hook your left elbow, join your palms together. Press down through your feet, inhale, come up and around for the other side, spin your back heel up, bend your knee and hook your elbow. So I think it's really important to practice the standing poses like this once in a while. It might not feel as like athletic as stepping from down dog, but the coordination that it requires, the balance and coordination to do it gracefully is really important to build that. Press into your feet and come back up. Hop or step your legs together. Stand on mountain. Step up to the top of your mat. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back to down dog or take a vinyasa. Step your right foot for warrior one. Inhale, reach up. Palms together, look up at your hands. Lift out of your lower back as you take the upper spine up. Then open up to your side for warrior two. Bring your hands back down to your mat, spin your back heel up, reach your heart forward. Then scoop up your navel, float your arms back behind you. Step up to balance on your right leg. Hold here, or see if you can reach your arms forward. The spine shouldn't round, keep that length. Then bend your knee, step back into warrior one. Bring your hands down, step back into downward dog or chaturanga, up dog, then down dog, take a vinyasa. Step your left foot for warrior one. Inhale, reach up. Press down through your back heel, lift up through your upper spine, look up at your hands, join your palms, and then see if you could let your left leg sink a little deeper. Then open up to your side for warrior two. Bring your hands back down to the mat. Spin your back heel up, level your hips. Then lean into your left foot and step up. Float your arms back, reach your heart forward. Hold there, or see if you can extend your arms out. Bend your knee, step back into warrior one. Bring your hands back down, step back, take a vinyasa, or stretch right back into down dog. Step your right foot for warrior two. Inhale, come up. Come into modified side angle, place the hand down onto the inside of the foot. Then wrap your left arm behind your back, half bind, chest open. Straighten out your right leg halfway, but don't let your right hip kick out behind you. Keep it in the line of your ankle. Then bend your knee, keep the hip tracking, slide your hand a foot in front of your pinky toe, and raise your back leg up. Lift and open your chest, then turn and take your left arm up. Bend your knee, slide back into warrior two. Hands to the mat, step back into down dog or take a vinyasa. Step your left foot, warrior two. Place your left hand onto the inside of your foot, take your right arm up. Then wrap your arm behind your back, half bind. Start to straighten out your left leg halfway without the hip kicking up behind you. Reach into the four corners of that foot. Now rebend that knee, keep the hip tracking as you slide your hand a foot in front of your pinky toe and step up. Open and lift the chest, keep the tailbone lengthened out of the lower back, turn and take your arm up. Bend your knee, slide back into warrior two. Straighten your left leg, turn your toes in so your feet are parallel. Hands on your hips, roll your chest open, inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come into a flat back. Exhale, see if you can fold even deeper now. Now if your head is pretty close to the ground and you feel like you could lean into your head and practice your tripod headstand variation, raise the legs up, keeping the shoulder blades lifted, index finger knuckle down, and elbows in. To come out, split the legs wide apart.
And slowly lower down, keeping the front of the pelvis lifted, and then slowly round the buttocks.
Inhale into a flat back. Walk your hands around to the front of your mat and step back into down dog or take a vinyasa. So, of course, if you're wondering, how can I learn to do those arm balances? I highly recommend checking out the Arm Balance series, which is free for the conscious movement community, or you can purchase it. I'll put the link below. Make sure to check that out. Set your knees down onto the floor, cross your legs, and sit in Dandasana. All right, so now we're gonna do some posture strengthening and core strengthening. In my opinion, it's the same thing. Working on strengthening your posture, probably with these like neutral spine things, is just as important, as if not more important, than doing crunching stuff. So sitting up as tall as you can over your sit bones. You might need to bend your knees so that you're seated like your back's up against the wall. See if you can take your arms up without sinking back. That requires a good balance of flexibility in your legs and then strength in your spinal muscles and your core muscles. Sit bones straight down, lift up tall through your crown. And then bring your arms down at your side, roll your chest open, and then lie down onto your back. Hold those legs up. If you need to bend the knees to get the lower back to lengthen, that's fine. Get the feeling like you're stretching from the top of your head and your sit bones away from each other, and then plugging the low abs in. Just lower your right leg slowly, so it's hovering maybe an inch above the floor, and then change legs. Keep those abdominals plugged into the spine. Change legs. That's how you're gonna get the spine healthier and strengthen your core. So it's not about how low you could go, how many you could do. It's if you're training the abdominals properly. Are you doing it fall from your neck and your jaw? Maybe you need to do a little less so you can train the core muscles instead. Activate the spine. Feel the spine getting taller as you're lowering that leg. Lengthen the hips out of the back. Sides of the skull out of the shoulders. Neck tall, neck long. And now let's see if we can do double legs. Lower both legs a third of the way, keeping the abs in. Another third of the way, keeping the abs in. Maybe a few more inches. And back up. These are freaking hard. Lower a third of the way. Lower another third of the way. Lower a few more inches. And then lift up halfway. Now just to make sure we get all the abs, let's do the rectus now. Hands behind the head and curl up, Ardha Navasana. And hold for 5. Breaths, that is. 4. Curl up higher. 3. 2. 1. Lower your head, take your legs up. Straighten those legs all the way, take your arms up, and slowly reach the arms back. Now get longer, reach the hips out of the back, reach the back of the skull away from the butt. And then slowly bring your arms back up as you gently bring your knees into your chest. Okay, now roll yourself up to seated. Hands down, pick up and float back into Chaturanga transition. So pick up and float back. We're gonna, ideally, it's done with the hands next to the hips. That's the most advanced variation, which you're gonna be learning in your arm balance series. We start with the hands on the blocks. But we can try this foundational transition where you put your hands just in front or under your knees. The chest goes broad. Now visualize like your pelvic floor and your lower belly is like a vacuum. It's sucking up energy. And from there, you're just gonna lean into the hands and then pull up and kick back. Inhale, up dog. Watch out for Ollie. Exhale, down dog. Is that better, Ollie? Okay, from down dog, hold here, press down through your hands.
Then walk your hands all the way back to your feet. Little bend in the knees, let the head drop. And then slide your hands right next to your feet so the fingertips are back in line with the toe tips. And see if you can start to straighten your legs. Open the backs of the knees, open the soles of the feet as you let your head drop down. And then inhale, come into a flat back. And come up to stand. Whew. Okay, now let's take it to the wall. You could just stay there, Ollie, okay? Don't worry, just stay. All right, so I'm gonna take my mat over to the wall and we're gonna work on the standing splits at the wall. We're gonna work on the standing splits and also the King Arthur variation while we're there because I freaking love it. It's so nice for your hip and for your hip flexor. And it's gonna be important for when we go to the splits all the way down low. So let's come into a downward dog, kind of like a mini down dog with the heels up on the baseboard. Do you have a baseboard? I don't know, I have one. All right, so the heels up on the baseboard, hands plant down. Then, as you go to lift one leg, the down leg hip wants to fall onto the thigh. You have to keep it lifted. So I engage and I lift my right hip as I take my left big toe up the wall. Okay, now, when I go to straighten my left leg, my lower back wants to contract. So do it with me. Lift the right hip, lift your belly, get your lower back tall as you start to straighten the left leg. Now if you can keep the pelvis lifted, the belly lifted, the lower back tall, and then walk in closer, then by all means, go ahead, walk it in. Take the foot up higher. But I'm kind of at my end range. If I try to go further, I can go further, but it's just all going to sink into my sacrum lower back. So instead I'm going to stay here, breathe into the stretch in the back of my right leg and the front of my left hip. And then I'll bring the foot down a little bit, hop my right foot forward, and then I'm going to lower my left knee down and take it back to the wall. It's not a very smooth transition, I realize. Transition can be better. Okay, ideally want to get that left knee all the way up against the wall. And then with my hands down, I'm just going to melt the hips forward and reach my heart forward. Oh, so good. Like this one, Ollie. You can stay here, sinking into this stretch, or you can bring your hips back towards the wall and then start to upright yourself. But if your quads are super tight, you might just want to hang out with me here in this variation. Oh, I got the tightest quads. Just so you could see what the upright one is, I'll go into that one a little. Oh, jeez. Okay, now let's release all that, and let's practice the splits on the other side. Come into downward dog, the mini dog, and then take your right leg up. Okay, so start with the knee bent, lift the left pelvis, lift the pelvis off the left thigh, keep your navel plugged in, and then start to grow that right leg without the lower back shrinking. Visualize a ball of energy in the lower back, glowing orange ball, expanding like an orb with your breath. And then see if you can maybe take that leg up higher to walk the hands in closer if needed. And then slowly lower your knee down. And scoot your foot forward. It's a quadricep experience, let me tell you. What is happening here with these quads? Direct your attention to where you're feeling the sensation and breathe into it instead of trying to go past it.
Let your conscious awareness in your breath start to create change. Stay there, or you can start to stretch the hips back and start to upright yourself. And release that. Heck, while we're here, we should probably just do the handstand prep, don't you think? So come on to all fours, hands, heel the hand right underneath the top of the shoulder. As you inhale, cat-cow will come into the back bend. And as you exhale, tuck the buttocks round through the spine. One more time, sit bones up, spine into a back bend. Tuck the buttocks round through your spine. Then come into neutral. Lift your knees up. Step one foot up to the wall, holding the neutral. And then see if you can bring the other leg up too. Hold there, front of the pelvis lifted, belly in. And then see if you can start to straighten your legs. Rebend your knees, lower down. Good, then I'm gonna leave it up to you. It's yogi's choice. We could practice headstand now, or turn around and kick up into the handstand. I'm gonna do the headstand. So set yourself up. And we'll practice holding for a half a minute together. Slowly release, come back down. Come into Virasana. Walk your hands back a foot behind you, roll your heart open, and lift your butt up. Hold there or lower down onto your elbows. And release. Then lie onto your belly for locust pose, Shalabhasana. I'm gonna come back to the original spot. Arms straight back, or interlock your hands behind you. Lower yourself back down. Bend your knees and reach back for your feet. Now release your groins up towards the ceiling and then engage the buttocks muscles towards the backs of the knees without the groins hardening down. And then start to stretch your legs. Reach your legs straight back. Place your hands next to the sides of your chest. And then roll yourself up into a back bend. Come up into cobra pose first. And then lift the knees up and come into upward facing dog. Stretch back into downward dog. Lie on your belly. Hands underneath your elbows.
Lift the shoulder heads, spread your collarbones. Curl your toes, lift your knees, lift your middle, and then lift up to elbow height and hold there. Lie back down onto your belly, and then stretch back into child's pose. Come back into downward dog. Spread and open up your toes. Then with the toes curled under, set the knees down and start to stretch your buttocks back towards your heels, keeping the toes curled under as best you can. Slide your right hand onto your lower back, left arm up. Then bend the left elbow and slide the hand behind your head. If possible, bind your fingers or just pretend like you're binding and reach your arms in opposite directions. Good, then stand up on your knees for a moment, release the arms, sit back. And we'll change. Take the left hand onto the lower back, right arm up. Bend the elbow and slide the hands towards each other. Good, release that. And then have a seat on your block. Stretch your legs out in front of you. We're going to incorporate the twists that we've been working on. These twists, super important foundational twists. Ardha Matsyendrasana first, heel to the outside of your hip, right ankle to the outside of the left knee. Soften your navel, spin your navel, turn your chest. Come back to center and change. Come back to center. Then hug your right knee into your chest and twist. Now see if you can take your right arm behind your back in a half bind without sinking, still keeping upright quality like you were propping with your hand. Release, change legs. Release that. Then bring your right leg into Tirang Mukha Ekapada Paschimottanasana. It's just a reverse of your asana leg, basically. Left leg out in front of you. And then start to lead with your chest, tip forward, and put your hands down right in line with your shin or your ankle. Now use your hands to actually help to anchor the pelvis back and down. And as you release down through the front of the sit bones, soften your navel back, and then see if you can start to, if your spine is willing to go forward and down with you. Inhale back up, change legs, take the left leg back. Now if this is too gnarly on your knee, you can just do a Virasana, what's that one called? A Janu Shirshasana leg instead. This hamstring isn't as willing to move, interesting. Ollie, come here.
It's getting kind of noisy out there. Come back up. Now check it out. From here, we're going to go right into Tirang Mukha. No, Marichyasana. So I bring the heel in close, raise the right arm straight up, sit up as tall as I can, and then reach along the inside of your knee, catch a hold of your foot. Now, if you feel like you go deeper, you'll internally rotate the arm, wrap it around, take the left arm behind for a full bind, and then fold forward. Release that, stretch that leg out, bend the left knee back, inhale left arm up, sit up as tall as you can, then reach along the inside of the knee, reach past your foot, catch the foot, or reach past, internally rotate, wrap around, both arms, and then start to go forward. Inhale, come back up. Now bring your right foot back as well. And we're going to come into, what's this one called? Malasana. So lift your heels, your buttocks and your heels up. Walk your hands all the way forward. Then from there, see if you can internally rotate your arms one at a time. Slide the hands around the shins behind the heels, or if you're more flexible, you can take the hands onto the low back. Then we're going to try the preparation for Bakasana. So release that. And to make it a little easier, we'll come up onto this block perch. Okay, once you get as deep as you can, with the knees hooked onto the upper arms, the elbows bent out to the side, you're just going to lean into your arms and then see if you can start to straighten your arms, keeping the knees tucked up. And then lift the feet up. Lower your feet back down. Sit your buttock to the ground. Reach onto the insides of your knees, hook your big toes, and raise them up. Take your legs wide apart. Watch out for the block. And then from here, we'll go right into Upavista Konasana. Come back up. Lift your legs up and take your big toes again. Bring the legs together. Take the arms forward, Navasana. Cross your legs, pick up. Back to Navasana. Lower to Ardha Navasana. Wrap your low abs in to protect your low back. Come back up. Cross the legs, pick up. And release. Lie down onto your back. Bring the heels close to the buttock. Press your upper arms down, lift your hips up. Roll the tops of the shoulders down. Lower your hips back down. Hug your knees in and roll up to seated. Then cross your legs at the shins, or take double pigeon, stack your right ankle onto the outside of your knee and fold forward. Inhale back up, change the cross. Inhale back up. Cross your legs in front of you. Pick up and float back, or just step back. You practice the float back or stepping back into down dog. Then step your right foot up to your thumb. Drop your back knee down. Now from here, let's bring the hips back over top of the left knee and stretch the right leg. Wiggle the foot forward a little and dorsiflex your foot. Now soften this thigh bone, let it drop down out of your lower back as you stretch your navel up. You can be up on blocks if you're more tighter. What was I gonna say? If you're more limited in your hamstrings, then blocks can help so that it's not so much strain. But we'll see if we can just scoot this left knee back gradually as we work on engaging the legs. You don't just want to hang into it. Once you scoot your left knee back, plug your right thigh bone back. My right thigh wants to just kind of hang out like this. Instead, I plug it back and I lift from the pelvic floor, scoop up the belly. So it's the same bandha work that we would do from Bakasana. Now let's see if I can go a little further. Okay, I'm feeling a big strain right in the meat of the muscle. My lower back still feels tall. Let's see if I can scoot that knee back a little further. I'm at like about a 7 or 8 on the stretch in the front of my leg, so I just want to hang out there. Now if I had like a couple of minutes, I really want to spend a minute or two in this. After about 45 seconds, I'd be able to maybe scoot the knee back a little further, but it really requires time. Time and then being conscious that you're not sinking into your joints. Pelvic floor lifted, belly lifted. Let's see, maybe we can go 1 more inch. Yeah, there we go. Open up through your right big toe mound, plug the right outer hip back, and then to come out, scoot your left knee forward a little, and step back into dog. Change sides. Left foot forward, right knee down. Slide the left foot, hips back over the knee, and then slide a little further to dorsiflex. And then just 1 inch. So first, release that left hip crease down as you lift up your belly and your heart. And then see if you can scoot the right knee back, keeping the left big toe mound open like it's pushing into a gas pedal, and keeping your left thigh plugged back instead of hanging out to the side. Ooh, there's my lower back going to shrink. Visualize that ball of energy in the sacrum, lower back. Okay, here I am at like a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10, so I'm just gonna hang there and breathe until it gets down to like a 4. Now I'm about a 5. Okay, now I'm at like a 4. Let's see if I can go another inch further. Okay, that's the sweet spot right there. And wherever you are, slowly release now. Make your way to seated. Stretch your legs out and reach for your toes. Lie down to your back for upside down Paschimottanasana. Hold there or practice plow or shoulder stand preparation. And then slowly lower the feet back down if they were up and roll yourself out. We'll hug the right knee into the chest, stretch the left leg out.
Open your right arm out to the side and twist. Take your knee all the way over to the left. And you can rest on a block if you have a sensitive lower back, sacral area. Really recommend preventing how much you're twisting less and getting the chest to open instead. If you're a deep twister, you can extend the leg all the way out, maybe to intensify the stretch. Come back to center. Change legs, hug that left knee in. Feel the tension at the crease of the hip release down as you're hugging in. Then open the arm to the side. Slowly take your leg over. Back to center. Stretch out for Shavasana, corpse pose. So first notice in your body if you can feel the vibration in the hands. And then notice if you can feel it in the arms, the shoulders, and the chest, and the abdomen, feet and the legs, head, neck. Feel the entire body's vibrational quality. And then practice for the next couple minutes watching as breath moves in and out. The subtle changes in the vibrational quality in the body. Does the buzz start to calm? Does it shift a little bit when the breath comes in or when the breath goes out? A huge part of our practice, instead of trying to get somewhere, it's good to have aims in our practice. But instead of always struggling to get somewhere, to just be aware of what is happening. Really the whole thing, it's just a breath practice. Moving our body, breathing. Stay in your body. Keep observing the flow. Practice training your awareness. When you catch yourself drifting off of the thoughts, come back into the body and the sensations. Gently bend your knees. Roll over to your side. And press yourself up to seated. Sit up tall with your palms together. In a moment of mindfulness, take a moment here to notice how the body feels.
Notice the quality of the breath. And notice your current mental state. Then take a breath into your nose. Namaste. Thanks for joining me today. Hey, now that we're on the Kajabi, we can just talk right here in Kajabi. We don't have to go over to the Facebook. So let me know what you thought of today's video below. And as I'm continuing to shape this, I really appreciate your guys' feedback as to what kind of stuff we're learning. I kind of had this idea for our next series about progressing toward advanced asana. Now, there are some specific things like in today's video that are really important to learn, but let me know what you guys think of that idea, or if you have other ideas, let me know below, and it's always good to connect with you guys. Thanks so much for practicing with me today. Have a great rest of your day.